Review The Matchmaker because it's a good episode and a ship happens. Have you seen The Matchmaker from The Amazing World of Gumball? Dude, you've got to review The Matchmaker. I've watched the episode 24 times and it still makes my heart swell with joy. Have you seen the Gumball episode The Matchmaker? You want to see a real great Gumball episode? I recommend giving The Matchmaker a look. Next to the choices, Matchmaker is the most beautiful thing the show has given us, especially with the little surprise it has. Hey, will you talk about The Matchmaker at some point? I mean, it pretty much confirms Darwin and Carrie's relationship. As of now, both Watterson brothers are taken. Weird to think, but I guess it was a long time coming with the show ending soon. Has a great musical number, and had a few other qualities negative and positive to consider. Just wondering if you're having any thoughts on it. Excuse me, Martin, but is your opinion on the episode The Matchmaker? I honestly don't know what to think about it, despite Darwin being my favorite character from Gumball, along with Nicole, and I like seeing him happy and all. Please look at The Matchmaker. When's The Matchmaker? Martin, you gotta talk about The Matchmaker. Matchmaker this, Matchmaker that, Matchmaker. Ugh. How do you do that? Valentine's Day 2017. For 2 months, give or take, you guys have been badgering me to review this episode. You have been singing its praises, expecting me to believe the hype, to give this episode a thorough analysis, and perhaps to even echo those praises. Well, someone hand me a pair of fairy wings and a magic wand because I'm gonna be granting a lot of people's wishes. Hell, I'll even be the fairy godparent that Cosmo and Wanda couldn't be. Can I get a mic drop, please? Thank you! Yes, our episode for today is The Matchmaker. Now, did I buy into the hype of this episode? Yes, I did. Do I think this episode is great? Yes, I do. Do I think people praise it too much? It's a little too soon to ask that question, even if it is pertinent in this case. I'll get back to it later. Until we get there, let's dig right in. We begin with Darwin in the bedroom breaking into a power ballad complete with cinematography that wouldn't be out of place in a music video from the late 1990s and early 2000s.
Your smile answers my silent scream. Your photo on the screen. My eyes well up, I hit my spleen. Your photo on the screen.
God damn. Danielle Hansley Jr. sure is nailing those notes perfectly. I see that Ben puts a lot of faith in the voice actors that they can turn out wonderful musical numbers, and I gotta say they deliver in that department. The song is obviously dedicated to someone, but when Gumball asks, Darwin understandably doesn't spill the beans. Gumball learns, and as I say that I'm making air quotes with my fingers, that Darwin's special someone is Terry, going off of an image on the Elmer Plus website. Enamored by the suppressed affection, he resolves to get the two of them together, and he shows his determination through anime reference number 1337.
This kid needs help, badly, and there's only one person who can help him badly enough.
That's the spirit, Gumball. You can do this. Believe. Believe. Believe in the heart of the cards. Wait, no. Wrong show. Whoops. Seriously though, what the hell is with that face? I mean, I watched some Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in my day, but that expression is so damn freaky. Ugh. Oh, never mind. Gumball enlists the aid of Carrie, but unbeknownst to him, our favorite ghost girl has her own harbored affections. For who? One can only guess. Okay, I know who, but Gumball doesn't, which is odd. For one thing, he was there when Darwin laid one on Carrie during the events of Halloween, and he was also there when they were about to fool around during the scam. So, what gives? I guess we'll get to that a little later. Gumball spends much of the first act trying to hook Darwin and Terry up, with an envious Carrie intent on sabotaging his plans behind his back despite agreeing to help him earlier. She only sabotages one plan. Well, as far as we're shown, that is. It all comes to a head when Gumball talks Carrie through his latest scheme in the school library.
I'm disappointed. Oh, look, I'm really sorry. He's just not into you, I guess.
Well, I meant I'm disappointed in myself. If you like someone, you're supposed to help them find happiness, not ruin their chances.
Oh my god. Do my eyes deceive me? Character development? And for a secondary character, no less. What day is it today?
Didn't see that one coming.
All joking aside, I like the direction that Carrie's character is taking. I'm pleasantly surprised by her maturity in the situation. The writers could have run her jealous, mischievous side to the ground to squeeze out what I'm sure might have been cringe-inducing attempts at comedy, but they chose not to. Of course, I don't doubt the writing of the show, but this is an easy setup to botch, and thankfully it was handled well here. They must have learned from their mistakes in The Bros, which had the misfortune of the incredibly out-of-character portrayal of Darwin. God, that episode was a pile of turd. Carrie then explains to Gumball that she knows the recipe to a potion that makes a person fall in love with the very first thing that they see. She even volunteers to make the potion herself, but naturally it doesn't come easy for her.
Where's that music coming from?
It's just what happens when you stir a love potion.
My darling, I can't get enough of your love, babe. Moving on. With the love potion created, Gumball soaks a pair of arrows into the potion and shoots them at Darwin and Terry. And it works. Maybe it works a little too well. But wouldn't you know it, Gumball was wrong all along. Darwin's crush wasn't Terry, it's Carrie. Who would have guessed?
What a twist!
No, in this episode's defense, it was never pushing for this revelation to be a plot twist. It was literally telling us to our faces that Gumball was mistaken, and it was just a matter of time until he figured it out. Not only that, the episode was kind enough to have him figure it out well before the third act starts, so as to not make things tiresome for the audience. As for the third act, Gumball and Carrie spend most of it trying to break Darwin and Terry up, but the effect the potion has on them is too strong. Not even Richard cleaning up spilled milk off of the kitchen floor with his sock and drinking from said sock can deter Terry. Terry, the resident hypochondriac. That's saying something. Speaking of...
Darwin, I've just seen the nurse! Apparently I have cooties! How? Who else have you kissed? Rachel? Carrie? Gumbo! Okay, what's up with you guys?
Holy fucking shit, the show remembers its first season! What's more, it remembers Rachel! Rachel! Of course, no magic on the face of this world can hold a candle to true love. A heartbroken Carrie tearfully accepts that she and Darwin will never be. Darwin takes notice of this, and the spell is broken, proving that true love is transcendent, a phenomenon all its own. It can happen to anyone, and when it does, it is unquestionably beautiful.
Hey, so would you like to go out somewhere sometime and do something? Or we could go somewhere else sometime and do some other thing. Please continue.
I can still see, but I don't mind.
Breathtaking. So, to repeat a question that was asked earlier in the review, are people praising this episode too much? Perhaps they are, but this episode kind of earns it based on its merits. I suppose the correct question to ask is, are people praising only one aspect of this episode? I believe so. Look, this was a fulfilling episode. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. The romance in this episode was exceptional. Darwin and Carrie coming to terms with their feelings for each other is one of the amazing World of Gumball's many moments of triumph. But I feel that the other merits of this episode are being glossed over, because it has so many other things going for it apart from the obvious. One of them, as I said, is the characterization. This is Carrie's best appearance in the series so far, hands down. She's come a long way from possessing other people just to fill her ethereal stomach. We're treated to a little bit of everything from Carrie, her mischievousness, her vulnerability, and her affectionate side. It makes her a complete and flexible character, and it's the reason why she's so likable in this episode. Likewise, I found Gumball to be just as well written, though I'd say Carrie has a slight edge over him. Disregarding his hairball schemes for a second, his likability comes from his willingness to help his brother find love, and the misunderstanding that he caused is born from his good intentions. It's just like the misunderstanding amongst the family and the fuss, in that no one in this episode is painted as completely incorrect. That's personally the sort of misunderstanding that I prefer because the character development that it lends to afterwards feels more organic. As for the reason why Gumball is the one who's trying to help Darwin find love, it actually goes even deeper once you put past events into perspective, and it makes so much more sense. Gumball has been in the same position that Darwin and Carrie are in, harboring strong and genuine feelings for someone they like, but not the courage or the proper way to articulate those feelings. He knows what it's like all too well, and it comes as no surprise that he'd want the same kind of happiness for his siblings. The jokes naturally are as funny as ever. My personal favorite scenes are the musical number at the start of the episode, the one-off emo Darwin gag, Darwin's deodorant overkill, and the flashback sequence. Again, I have to stress this. Oh my god, they remembered Rachel! Next thing you know, I'll be rich enough to be able to afford my very own private island. So there you have it. The Matchmaker is a great episode whose strengths outweigh its weaknesses, but I don't think credit is being given to those aforementioned areas. You know, the areas that matter: writing, animation, performance, direction, the essentials. Not saying that Darwin and Carrie becoming an official couple doesn't matter, because it does, but the journey itself is just as important as the destination, if not more. And not to mention the negative impact that hype can have on any given thing, whether a video game, a movie, or a TV show. You sing something's praises to heaven and back and encourage people left and right to give it a chance, and their expectations naturally rise in accordance with how much praise you're giving. And then, someone straight up tells you that what you're praising doesn't quite live up to the hype, or equally soul-crushing is that they find it good, but don't see it as praiseworthy as you do. Now, am I saying that The Matchmaker was ruined for me? No, it wasn't, but I can't call it the best episode that Gumball has to offer. It at least earns a spot in my yet-to-be-released updated top 10 list, if not an honorable mention, but a spot in my top 5 or my top 3? That's a bit of a stretch. I haven't thought that far ahead. We do still have the rest of this season and the next season to go, but if this episode is going to stake its claim as one of Gumball's absolute best, it's going to have some stiff competition. As a whole though, I give The Matchmaker a 4 out of 5. Usually I hate to make comparisons between two identical things because I want to evaluate everything I look at based on their individual strengths, but for all intents and purposes, I'll make an exception. Compared to The Shell, The Matchmaker didn't have the benefit of having a monumental build-up leading up to it. Though there was anticipation for it, it pales in comparison to what The Shell has. The Shell was the culmination of years worth of speculation, both within and outside of canon. Fans were theorizing like crazy what direction the romance between Gumball and Penny was going to take, and Penny's true form underneath her shell. Say what you will about the dumbasses who bitch and moan about not having their way, that Penny isn't a deer like they were hoping and begging she would be. Yeah, you know who you are, ungrateful dumbasses. Sorry, got carried away again. Anyway, say what you will about, you know, those people. But that magnitude of investment is testament to the anticipation that The Shell has amassed. I also like to bring up that when the episode itself aired, it felt more heavy, for lack of a better word. The stakes seemed higher because of the build-up. The pacing, the characters, the writing, the atmosphere, they all fell into place. Sure, it had really strong comedy, as is par for the course with Gumball, but the comedy felt more like a supplement than anything, and I think that decision was for the best. The Matchmaker's build-up might have been respectable within the fanbase, but it was next to non-existent within the show itself. The gap between Halloween and the scam was, what, slightly under 4 years? And what was there to fill that gap? Fanfiction? Fan art? Yeah, talk about hype, am I right? And The Matchmaker didn't feel as heavy as The Shell did. Comedy and drama were of equal importance here. The jokes were as rapid-fire as the characterization was top-notch, which I have no problem with. But because of this, there wasn't as much gravity to the conflict like in The Shell, so I really can't give it any higher than a 4. That's just the way it is. Good episodes are good, great episodes are great, and fantastic episodes go above and beyond expectations. On the flip side, okay episodes are okay, bad episodes are bad, and horrible episodes go out of their way to hit you where it hurts. The Matchmaker is definitely a wonderful episode, with all due respect. How it stacks up compared to the rest of the series, we've yet to find out. We still have a ways to go, people.